It's up to you, New York, New York.
Welcome back to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast here on Facebook Live and YouTube. I am your host, Richie. On today's show, we talking Super Bowl tickets punched, New England Patriots, Seattle Seahawks. Two teams from worst to first, just the way we drew it up. Drake May versus Sam Darnold. Unbelievable. Quite an eventful 2-game slate yesterday as we really saw a little bit of everything yesterday. Starting with the Patriot game in Mile High. Jarrett Stidham, former draft pick of the New England Patriots, called upon duty to replace the injured Bo Nix. It started off well. Early on in the game, he orchestrates a really nice drive, 7-0 Denver. A decision that's going to be scrutinized moving forward for the next week or so. Denver head coach Sean Payton opting to not take 3 points that would have put the Broncos up 10-0 early, considering that the Patriots only needed 10 points to win this game. They won 10-7. That's going to be scrutinized over time. One thing I got to say, watching this game, both defenses really gave it their all. Both defenses played well enough to win. When you have a combined score of only 17 points, it speaks volumes on the defensive effort of both sides. The Patriots were able to overcome a very poor first half from quarterback Drake May. Where he was able to really hurt the Broncos was with his legs, broken plays, creating with his legs. Late in the game, Will Lutz blocked field goal. He had missed another field goal earlier in the game. And I said it on a short, I'll say it here again. If someone would ask me which kicker would have been more reliable in this particular game, I would have 100% said Will Lutz, just given his resume and his background in playing in just more games. But the Patriots, they were scrutinized during the course of the season, having a relatively soft schedule. In the regular season, just 1-2 against teams over 500, the lone win being the Bills, the two losses being the Steelers and the Bills. They split with the Bills. This was a classic defensive struggle. Yeah, buddy. I actually spoke on that just a few seconds ago. That's going to be scrutinized for quite some time. NAFO Mythic Plague, thank you for joining. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, bro. I am 100% with you on that. These are the kind of decisions that are going to be scrutinized moving forward. It was not just the fact that they went for it. I also wasn't a big fan of the play call itself. And I'll take it a step further. I think the Rams should have took 3 in their game yesterday when there was over 4.5, 5 minutes to go, 4th and 4. I would have took the points, made it a 1-score game. That's a 1-point game. That's just me, though. The Patriots were scrutinized during the course of the year, as I stated, soft schedule, things of that nature. But make no mistake about it, they've proven themselves in these playoffs, even if they're winning ugly. The Charger game was not the best exhibition by Drake May by any means. I truly feel that the way New England's defense has played during the course of these playoffs, Drake May has not had to do a ton. But when the offense woke up in round one against the Chargers, May did enough. Justin Herbert was a sitting duck. Both his offensive tackles, Alton Slater, were not available. You fast forward to the divisional round against the Houston Texans, the best defense in all of football. CJ Stroud, with the litany of turnovers he had, set up the Patriots lovely where they did not have to do a lot. Yesterday, as far as I'm concerned, it was about a couple of things. Denver's inability to kick a field goals, the weather, and Drake May's ability to really hurt the Denver Broncos with his legs. Crazy stat that I got to speak on here. For basically a decade, literally a decade, the only teams that have won the AFC are the New England Patriots, the Cincinnati Bengals, and sprinkled in between just once in the 2021 season, the Cincinnati Bengals, Kansas City Chiefs, New England Patriots. The Bengals sprinkled in just once. That is a ridiculous stat. You got to go back to 2015 when the Denver Broncos made the Super Bowl as another team that would do it. And off the top of my head, I would actually have to, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers, I believe, as the only other team. That's going all the way back to 2010. But just an unbelievable situation when you consider that the Buffalo Bills were the heavy favorites to win the AFC this year, given that the Kansas City Chiefs were getting older. As the season moved along, things were lining up well, making sense that Josh Allen could go on a wild card run and take his team to the Super Bowl. But when you think that the Patriots kind of had a little rebuild going on, Bill Belichick out, Tom Brady out within a couple of years of each other. Tom Brady goes to Tampa, wins another Super Bowl. They bring in Gerard Mayo for 1 year. They did an experiment with Cam Newton, another experiment with Mac Jones. They find their quarterback from UNC, Drake May. And now in just year two, he's playing in a Super Bowl. It is truly, truly remarkable. Now, as a Giant fan, I'm kind of excited about this for a weird reason. I believe in history. And the Patriots' first Super Bowl ever was way back in the 85 season. They got stomped out by the Chicago Bears. Next year, Giants' first Super Bowl ever. They ended up winning it. Fast forward to the next decade. Giants lose the Super Bowl. Patriots win their first one the very next year. And we all know about the 2 meetings in 4 years between the Giants and Patriots. It seems like when the Patriots are getting relevant again, the Giants are not far behind, or vice versa. So in that regard, I'm holding out hope for a pretty strong Giants season. But yeah, Sean Payton definitely going to have to look in the mirror and ask himself if it was worth it not taking the points. I think in a defensive struggle like that, you got to get every point possible. And that was a missed opportunity for the Denver Broncos. I've never quite seen things break down more advantageously in my lifetime for another team like the Patriots. I mean, when you draw the backup quarterback who has barely played in his career, that is a massive, massive break. But, you know, you play who's on your schedule. I keep alluding to that. And the Patriots have done everything possible to win these games. And one of the best compliments I can give the Patriots is that when they're not cooking on offense, they don't allow it to affect the other side of the ball. They don't get frustrated. And they just keep playing. This is a team that makes minimal mistakes. I got to say that. And even in the first half where Drake May played bad enough that if Denver's offense could have done anything, they could have got buried early. It's a testament to Mike Vrabel's team. It's a testament to the guys believing in each other in that locker room. Giants will be in the playoffs with their new coach within 2 years, I think. I share your sentiments. I will say that next year I looked at the schedule. It's not the easiest path, but I think the Giants are going to be a much better team next year. And I also think that this year wasn't an easy schedule, and the Giants found themselves in a lot of games. So I would not be surprised if they can compete for a wild card this year. I wouldn't anoint them as an immediate division winner. However, I do think the Dallas Cowboys, Washington Commanders, and Philadelphia Eagles are all in a weird place right now, so this is a good time for the Giants to strike. In the other game, NFC, It was the rubber match. In my opinion, the two best teams in all of football. Say the Los Angeles Rams lost a heartbreaker to the Seattle Seahawks, 31-27. Sam Darnold on top of the world right now. This is a guy that was drafted by the New York Jets back in 2019, a guy who got ran out of town. He played briefly in Carolina. He competed with Baker Mayfield for that Carolina job. They kind of went back and forth, both getting reps. Takes a step back, a detour in his career, backing up Brock Purdy in San Francisco, getting a real opportunity in Minnesota last season where he played for the number one seed in the final week of the season. He had a rough day. He got sacked 8 times by these same Rams. Fast forward the next year, he is going to the Super Bowl. Just a really crazy turn of events. 2 former Giant quarterbacks are in a position that one of them could get a ring. Tommy DeVito is third string for the Patriots. Drew Lock is the backup for Sam Darnold. So that's interesting in itself. A lot of former Giants on the Seahawks. You got Julian Love as well as Leonard Williams. Moving it along. Let's see. Sammy should be a Viking. They screwed the yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree, was. Yesterday was a bona fide classic. Matthew Stafford and Sam Darnold could not have done any more to help their teams win. I will say this, though, sloppiness on the Rams' part definitely cost them this victory. I walk away from this game congratulating the Seattle Seahawks, but I also walk away from this game feeling that the best team did not win. I believe the Los Angeles Rams are a better team than the Seattle Seahawks, but the best team doesn't always win. The team that makes the least mistakes wins, and that's exactly what happened yesterday. And you got to give the Seahawks credit. They didn't have one half of their running back room, as Zach Charbonnet is done for the season. He didn't play yesterday. They adjusted and made life really difficult for Puka Nacua to have splash plays in the second half. They did what they had to do. This was a classic. I think if the Rams would have maybe had, I don't know, 20 more seconds, they might have had a few shots at the end zone where anything could happen when you consider that Devontae Adams led the NFL in receiving touchdowns this year. The Rams have, been on the side of dramatic during these playoffs. Both their victories in Chicago and the week before in Carolina were gut punches to their opponents. Matthew Stafford, always prepared and ready to bring it. The 12s were in full force yesterday. I got to say that. The Seattle crowd was definitely a huge factor in this game. And this is a rematch. One of the most infamous decisions in Super Bowl history, which changed history in a lot of ways for some players. Russell Wilson throws an interception on the 1-yard line when you had beast mode, Marshawn Lynch having a day. All they had to do was give the ball to Marshawn, and more than likely he scores. They got too cute for their own right. Oddly enough, Pete Carroll loses his job with the Raiders right now. That's the guy who called that shot. Russell Wilson, pretty much done with football, if you ask me. He started a few games for the Giants before quarterback of the future, Jackson Dart, took over. I laughed my ass off when Carroll lost that game. Yeah, I had mixed feelings because I'll be honest with you, I'm far from a Patriot fan, being a New Yorker, being a Yankee, a Knick, a Ranger, obviously a New York Giants fan. But yes, as a Notre Dame fan, I don't have a lot of love for Pete Carroll either, and that was a pretty ridiculous call. I personally think that with Marshawn Lynch's static with the media, Carroll didn't want Marshawn to get the MVP. As stupid as that sounds, I really believe that. But if the call wasn't to go to Marshawn, you do a naked boot, you let Russ run it out. There were so many Patriots stuck in the middle of the end zone. I think Russ could have probably ate a sandwich and walked it in. Yeah, that's an ageless rivalry right there, Yankees and Red Sox. I respect the Red Sox, but I also hate them at the same time. Um, Yeah, one of the most infamous calls in Super Bowl history. The Legion of Boom team, while they had that one Super Bowl, going back to back puts you in a rare class of franchises. And the Seattle Seahawks missed their opportunity there. Seattle Seahawks have had much more success since moving over to the NFC in the 2001 season and when they did realignment, or was it '02? One or the other when they moved over. But the point is, the Seattle Seahawks, since the turn of the century, have been in the NFC. They were formerly members of the AFC West. So it's still kind of weird for me because I've seen football since the '90s, late '80s, early '90s. To see Seattle as a member of the NFC, it still doesn't completely look right to me, but it is what it is. But Mike McDonald, Mike Vrabel, both of these dudes deserving of Coach of the Year accolades. And these are two worst to first scenarios, which is just really incredible. I believe that Seattle is more battle tested. I think Seattle has had a much, not think, it's a fact, they've had a much tougher gauntlet and schedule to get where they're going. But it's one game. It's a 3-hour game. Anything could happen. It's a neutral site. Seattle should feel semi-comfortable playing in Santa Clara, considering that they've already won 2 games there in the past month. Their rivals, the San Francisco 49ers, are the team there, Levi's Stadium. Seattle should feel very comfortable. And you'd have to think that the New England Patriots should feel relatively comfortable too, considering that they have not lost a game away from Gillette Stadium all season long. That is an incredible feat. The last time the Patriots achieved this was 2007 when they had an undefeated regular season and 18-0 going into Super Bowl 42 against my New York Giants. This, I think, is more predicated, like I said, off of a beneficial schedule. But to be fair to the Patriots, most of their losses were in September. They lost to the Raiders, which is really hard to believe, and they lost to the Steelers in their third game. Yeah, I just think the Seahawks have a better roster. I just think they're a deeper organization, a deeper franchise, deeper team, deeper roster. And I also think revenge is on the mind. Now, granted, there's no players that are still linked to this current Seattle team that played back then, but there is history here. This is a rematch of that epic Super Bowl. And I remember during the commercial break, after that acrobatic catch that Seattle made, it looked like everything was going in Seattle's favor. They kept showing the Tyree catch over and over and over again. But I truly believe that Seattle is the superior team. But that's why they play the games. You never know for sure. We're gonna be doing a lot of Super Bowl related shows during Pro Bowl week where we talk about Super Bowls of the past, some of the best performances. We're going to rank some of the best Super Bowl players of all time, ranging from quarterbacks. We'll do a show on that, you know, getting into just some of the best performances of Super Sunday. There are many to choose from. You have Phil Simms in the Rose Bowl against the Broncos. You have Tom Brady in defeat against the Eagles, even though he lost, he had a great game. Of course, Brady with the 28-3 comeback with New England. Uh, Joe Montana, some of his performances on Super Sunday, also worth noting. Nick Foles, same game with Brady. Plenty to talk about the greatest moments in Super Bowl history. We're going to talk about the greatest Super Bowl champion, single season. We're going to get on that. It'll be a lot of fun. We're going to be hitting on so much football related content. This is a weird week because there's no football this week. I mean, the Pro Bowl is so watered down. It's become a skills competition. It's become everything that I don't like. I understand that these guys have to think about their futures and they try to stay healthy. But I remember when the Pro Bowl used to mean something. Jim Kelly was good, never won the big one. Yeah, you could put Fran Tarkenton on that list as well, another great quarterback that was never able to get over the hump. Of course, Dan Marino, who only played in one Super Bowl in his second year. And then you have current guys like Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, who have yet to get there. Joe Burrow lost a Super Bowl, has not been able to get back. The great John Elway lost quite a bit before he finally got over the hump. in the 90s and the 80s. He had a lot of heartbreak, losing to the Redskins, losing to the Giants, losing to the 49ers. But one thing that I think is going to be on full display in this Super Bowl is going to be the defenses. Without question, I think this is going to be a game that's going to be driven by the defenses. I would be quite surprised if either team hits 30. But if one team was going to hit the 30s, I would say Seattle. And I do believe that this could be a potential blowout. If Seattle's offense gets cooking early and New England has to play from behind, I think they're going to have some serious trouble. How many takeaways do I think there'll be? Um, I'm gonna go with five. I'm gonna go with five. New England gets two takeaways. Seattle gets three. I think one of the takeaways will be early and it'll be non-consequential. But I do believe that this could be a defensive-driven game, and I like Seattle by a 10 or more. I really mean that. I hope this isn't a blowout. I hope this is an entertaining game. I have no dog in the race. And truthfully, in my personal life, I'm friends with some Patriot fans. Like my best friend here in Florida, Brett, he's a contributor to the show. His daughter's actually my goddaughter. And my late friend Maddie, who was also a brother to Brett, um, massive Patriot fan. I'm not really friends with anyone who reps the Seahawks. And as a New York Yankee fan, I've always had a hard on for Seattle sports teams just because of the heartbreak that the kid Ken Griffey Jr. put on us in Don Mattingly's final appearance in MLB as a player. Don Mattingly is my favorite baseball player. Um, NFL season has gone just far, far too quick. It is sad for me. This is my favorite time of my favorite sport to watch. I mean, I love baseball. Don't get me wrong. I'm a huge Yankee fan. I love the Knicks as well. I love the Rangers, even though the Rangers have put me into a full-on depression with their terrible play this season, carrying over from last year. But yeah, football season always seems to just go a little too quick. I do want to hit on some of the stuff going on coaching related. Buffalo Bills still looking for their next head coach. As a recently fired Sean McDermott is not pursuing other opportunities in the NFL this year, it looks like he's going to sit out a season before finding out his next destination. I like Robert Saleh in Tennessee. I think after having a very bad experience in the Northeast with the Jets, the biggest media market, I think that a place like Tennessee is a good place where he's a little under the radar and he could work on building back a winner. I do think there's some pieces to work with in Tennessee, so I think Coach Saleh might have a good run there. I agree with you for one simple reason about McDermott getting fired being dumb. If you're not going to replace him with a guy, let's just say his name. If you're not going to replace him with Bill Belichick, yeah, it is dumb. Who are they going to hire? Joe Brady? Brian Dable? Philip Rivers? Like, who are we going to hire here if we're the Bills? If it's not Belichick, it's stupid. I mean, I say Tomlin would be an upgrade, but Tomlin's, in my opinion, not going to coach again. Not just this year, in general. I think Tomlin's done. I'm sure that if they were eliminated a week earlier, like say in Duval, they may have been in on John Harbaugh. But I'm very thankful that my Giants were able to scoop him up. I'm not sure what the Bills are going to do. I really don't know. I do think McDermott really pissed them off, questioning the direction of what they were doing and the decision making that they were doing. And I think they got very guarded, very defensive up there in the brass of the Bills. If you were a head coach, would you want to work for owner? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. On so many levels, football related and other. I'll put it to you like that. Yeah, I would not want to work for them. And they have a great fan base. They have a fan base deserving of a championship team. I think Josh Allen is a great person, truly, truly a great person. And although I'm not a Bills fan, I'm a Giants fan. They are a team that I respect. I even respected those guys going back to the 90s when they had guys like Jim Kelly, Bruce Smith, Darryl Talley, Cornelius Bennett, Steve Tasker, just to name a few. Andre Reed, of course, James Lofton. They were a very likable fun team to watch back then. Yeah, Thurman Thomas for sure, for sure. Very likable team, man. Very, very likable. Yeah, Don Beebe. He actually was able to get a ring with the Green Bay Packers after the fact. One of the few from Buffalo. Cornelius Bennett had another opportunity, but he unfortunately lost with Dan Reeves and the Falcons, the Dirty Bird Falcons, headed by Jamal Anderson, who's actually Muhammad Ali's godson. But gonna be a lot of interesting stuff come media week. This is always a fun time. You learn more about these players going into the big game. Sam Darnold, has overcome so much after his disastrous time with the New York Jets. He did it the long way. He did it the hard way. So definitely a guy you could get behind and root for. That Sam Darnold lookalike is pretty damn funny. Stan Darnold. Sam autographed a jersey for him, sent it over. That's a super fan. That's cool to see. Seattle's very passionate. I got to say that. They do have some damn good fans there. The 12th man wasn't like a thing back when they played in the Kingdom. This is like more new age, new millennium stuff, but they are a damn good organization, and a team that was down for a little while after Russ, the Legion of Boom, Pete Carroll all moved on, but McDonald doing a great job and definitely deserving. Both these guys coaching on February 8th are deserving of Coach of the Year accolades and considerations. Want to speak on Mike McCarthy to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think it's a safe move. I'm curious to see if Aaron Rodgers considers coming back because of the success that he and McCarthy had in Green Bay. They did win a Super Bowl together. It's the only Super Bowl win for each of them. Having said that, it goes without saying that the Pittsburgh Steelers still have to figure out their quarterback of the future. I do think Kyler Murray could be an option for the Steelers, a reclamation project of sorts, and he's going to obviously give them more years. But I think Aaron Rodgers' options are limited. I thought the Minnesota Vikings were a team that could have considered Rodgers with the uncertainties of J.J. McCarthy's health coming into the year and the fact that they allowed Sam Darnold to walk away, which I'm wondering if they're really regretting right now. But truthfully, Rodgers' options are going to be few and far between, and that alone might be the reason why he retires. I mean, where does he make sense? Do the Indianapolis Colts feel that he could be an upgrade for a short term over Daniel Jones, who's coming off a severe injury? Maybe. And they're a playoff caliber team. They're in the mix. But there's not many. There's not many teams. Kirk Cousins has that mammoth contract in Atlanta. So I don't know, man. I don't know what the future holds for Aaron Rodgers. I think his best opportunity is to stay right where he is. Like I said, there are so few out there. CJ Stroud, after that disastrous playoff game, and I've been saying for a minute that I think Davis Mills was the better option for Houston. I would have to think that Rodgers just has to see what his market looks like. But the problem is that you have younger kids and younger kids and younger kids coming into this league that older veterans, especially guys that are not that mobile anymore, their options are becoming smaller and smaller. I want to speak on Fernando Mendoza, projected number 1 pick in this year's coming draft. If you're the Raiders, do you consider trading that pick to get a king's ransom, or is there some intangible about this young man where you build around him? Considering that Tom Brady has a bit of a voice with the Raiders now, I think they're going to draft this kid. And what a story. I mean, this is a kid that about 25 or more colleges wanted nothing to do with. He goes to primarily a basketball school in Indiana, finally has a program that believes in him. And he's at the pinnacle of collegiate football. Mark Cuban offered him $40 million to run it back. And he said, no, he wants to go to the pros. But I'm not going to lie, and I'm not trying to be an asshole, but if I was going to be picked by the Raiders, I'd probably stay in college. I would not want to play for that organization. They are a mess right now. Truly a mess. Yeah, I would consider a trade. Yeah, you got to see what people offer. Nobody knows until it's draft day and you really see what the packages look like. But I do believe that it's something you got to consider, because one player is not going to fix this mess, but one player happens to be playing the most important position in today's NFL. So there's a couple of ways to look at it. Moving it over for a second, want to speak on the New York Mets. How did they do in your estimation? Do you feel that the New York Mets have done enough to challenge the Los Angeles Dodgers? They have upgraded defensively in the outfield. They have upgraded their offense. They've upgraded their middle infield. Marcus Semien is a Met now. You've got Luis Robert Jr. You bring in closer Devin Williams after his failed time in the Bronx as you lose Edwin Diaz. We'll see how that plays out. But I think the New York Mets did an admirable job. And then let's not forget Bo Bichette, who was a huge cog in the Toronto Blue Jays wheel. So I think that Bo Bichette is also a huge component of what the Mets could be this year. Crosstown rivals, my favorite team, the New York Yankees, solidifying Cody Bellinger back. A 5-year deal. He has 2 opt-outs in year 2 and in year 3. I think Bellinger is in a position to make a lot of money. His splits were obviously much better in Yankee Stadium, but I think it's a necessary move that the Yankees had to make to bring him back because he was the best bat on the market. And speaking of good bats, I want to suggest something here. I suggested it in a short yesterday. Eugenio Suarez, the former Mariner, former Diamondback. He's currently a free agent, plays third. Not the best defensive third baseman, but his bat could overcome some of that. And if I'm the New York Yankees, although you have third base figured out going into this year with Ryan McMahon, who I said it on the short, I want his bat to catch up to his glove. I would love to see the Yankees consider bringing in Suarez because you still have other options at first. You could put Ryan McMahon at first base on days that Suarez is in your lineup. On another team, Suarez could be a DH, but you have that albatross of a contract and a limited player in Giancarlo Stanton. And I respect Stanton. He's been big for the Yankees in October, but his lack of versatility, in my opinion, hurts the team more than it helps the team, even though I do like the guy. And I think he's been everything you could ask. He never complains. When the people get on him, he never shies away. He just does his job and he takes the criticism, which is one of the biggest things of being a New York sports athlete. But Ben Rice projected to be the first baseman, but this is the thing. Ben Rice also could catch. And if I'm the New York Yankees, if you could plug in a guy like Suarez into that lineup, now you have the likes of Bellinger, Jazz Chisholm Jr., obviously Stanton. Ben Rice is an emerging player. I would strongly consider bringing in Suarez. I would not let position clogs, uh, you know, prevent me from bringing in more talent. Because when you look at what the Los Angeles Dodgers have done, the Yankees have to be in that same mindset if they want to compete with the Dodgers. Bottom line, this is Dodgers and everybody else right now. But if I'm the New York Yankees, I'm considering it. Yeah, that's a valid point, dude. Which one gets on base more? Yeah, that's a valid point. I like that point. Very valid. But yeah, Raiders to trade or not to trade, that's going to be a thing going into the draft. New York Football Giants, my team picking at 5. Do they go defense? We know that Harbaugh values safeties and he also values the running game. On a lot of people's charts of importance, those are not 2 positions that are of high value. They're a little more valuable now after the emergence of the running backs getting paid again, in large part to Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, all signing deals in the same free agent spin. But Giants definitely need a versatile safety. So Caleb Downs out of OSU could be the answer. My favorite collegiate team, Notre Dame, has a great running back by the name of Jeremiah Love, and I have stated on the show many times that him and Cam Scatabo would be quite devastating. But you got to see which way teams draft and see which way that breaks. Final thought of the day before I get out of here. New York Knicks, I was hanging out with my mother, my stepdad, my brother, watching the tail end of that game against Philadelphia. And although the Knicks are on a very fragile 2-game winning streak right now, I'm still seeing the same things that upset me. Missing free throws in crunch time and just not playing good enough defense. And also mental errors. The Knicks, in my opinion, are underachieving in a big way because you take a Boston Celtics team that's missing Jason Tatum, but yet the Knicks find themselves fighting with the Celtics for a position. This should be a year that the Knicks win 60 plus games and kind of coast into the ECF thinking about the NBA Finals. Yeah, and I got news for you. I'm wondering if we should send him back. Hell of a scorer, but I feel that he doesn't have that extra dog in him. You're a big man, dude. I want to see you play like a big man. You got guys like Josh Hart who are warriors on that team, literal warriors. Josh Hart does anything the team asks of him. I do like the point guard depth. I think Tyler Kolek will work his way back into the rotation gradually. Knicks have a good roster, but I will say this: Coach Mike Brown's going to seriously be feeling the heat if the Knicks don't turn this 2-game winning streak into something bigger soon, and if the defense doesn't play a little better. But he was very critical of Karl Anthony Towns being lazy. Yes, indeed. And the thing is, I'll be the first to admit that Jalen Brunson's not exactly the best defender in the league by any means. It's the weakest part of his game. But Brunson's always given you the effort, at least. And what I'm asking from Towns is the effort. He gets his lazy rebounds, mostly defensive rebounds. But when he's chucking threes and he's not getting back in transition, it's very upsetting. And personally, I don't think his conditioning is where it should be either. And that's something that I've observed going back to last year. I hope so too. I got no bad for him on the personal level. I just want him to be a more committed player for a team that is striving to win a championship. Because when you broke up a part of that Nova Cats connection, shipping out Dante DiVincenzo and shipping out Julius Randle, who was the first guy that believed in the Knicks' future, the first big free agent signing, and the first guy to put it all out there for them before Brunson essentially became the face of the organization. Those are two players that I think at times the Knicks do genuinely miss. But I do think schematically Randle did not make sense with this current Knick roster. I do miss DiVincenzo an awful lot. His fire, his desire, his three-point prowess, and just the connection that he has to Hart, Brunson, Bridges. It was cool to see those Nova guys doing it at the pro level. But the New York Knicks most definitely got to lock in, and we're going to see what this new week brings. Genie Bus, LeBron James, former owner, the heiress of the the Los Angeles Lakers, Genie Bus. Not the best things talking about LeBron James, one of the greatest NBA players in history, no matter whether you like him or don't, saying that a selfish personality, taking all the credit, kind of hogging all the credit, and not really representing the Lakers in the right way. How is he so great? I want to make one thing clear. I don't like LeBron James at all. But when I think about, how in baseball where you have like a five-tool player, I see LeBron James as that in basketball. Guy's a great passer. The guy fills up the stat sheet. Do I think he's the greatest scorer in NBA history just because he has the most points? Absolutely not. I think the most prolific scorer in league history, you got to talk Michael Jordan, Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Jabbar had the record for most points. Jordan was the most efficient scorer with all those scoring titles. And Wilt Chamberlain goes without saying, he was a man amongst boys in his era. But I feel you. I know what you're saying. I think a lot of it's longevity. The thing that LeBron James lacks to me is that killer instinct like Kobe, like Mike, like Magic, like Bird. I think he lacks that. And those guys never needed to recruit everybody to come win with them. But in talking about just as a singular talent, I think LeBron James is at the top of small forwards, right next to Larry Bird. You could flip a coin. They're on who is a better player. I think the longevity does help LeBron in that argument, as Bird had some terrible back issues. But Larry Bird was one half of the combo that saved the NBA alongside his rival turned friend Magic Johnson. But yeah, from the personality standpoint, he's a hard guy to like for a lot of traditional NBA fans, and I hear you on that. But yeah, Jeannie Buss, the Buss family, for so many years, running the Lakers. And, LeBron, speaking out of frustration, was talking like, oh, I've been here longer than anywhere else. But, he's always been a mercenary. I think the most prolific mercenary, if we're being honest. I think KD's also in that conversation, even the phenomenal, great Shaquille O'Neal. But the difference with Shaq is that I think he didn't want to leave the Lakers. I'll put it to you like that. But I think in order for Kobe to take the next step, they needed to separate he and Shaq. I do think that there were some regrets from Shaquille O'Neal walking away from the Orlando Magic before they completed their goal, which was winning an NBA championship. And I think he and Penny Anthony Hardaway, one of the biggest what ifs in NBA history, because of the fact that they were kind of like the 90s version of Magic and Kareem, and they just never got to the pinnacle. They got close. The high point of what they accomplished, obviously making the NBA Finals in 95, defeating Michael Jordan and the Bulls. Now, this was not the best Bulls version. Jordan only played 17 regular season games that year, but he was back. He dropped 55 on my Knicks. He was back. But, no Horace Grant. He was playing for Orlando. And Dennis Rodman was not a member of the Bulls just yet. So that was definitely a flawed Bulls team, but I'm not going to take nothing away from what the Magic accomplished that year. I think the immaturity is what cost them the NBA Finals. When they beat Jordan and then they won't go on and beat Reggie Miller and co., I think they felt that they already had it in the bag, but there was still a bigger job to do. And the veteran Rockets team led by Clyde Drexler and Hakeem Olajuwon's duo took care of business, and they had shooters galore. I think it would have been interesting to see if the Bulls and the Rockets would have ever ran into each other during that era of NBA basketball. That would have been an interesting finals because I think Houston had all the answers for Chicago where they actually could have possibly taken it to them. And for the career head to head, Olajuwon actually does have a winning record against Michael Jordan. Interesting stat there. But get at me in the comments, guys. Like I said, we're going to be bringing on quite a bit of historic football content regarding the Super Bowl. Some of the greatest teams, players, performances, all of it, coaches. We're going to get on it. We got the time to do it right now. Pro Bowl week, no games to analyze, and we're going to get on it. Baseball's heating up around the corner, and we're going to be talking more NBA as the episodes keep coming as the Super Bowl and football season will be coming to a close soon. Dennis Rodman would have destroyed them. Dennis Rodman, man, people don't realize how important that guy was. Dennis Rodman, between his time with the Bad Boy Pistons and what he meant for that second three-peat in Chicago, Rodman was just so damn important. So many times guarding the other team's big men, whether it be Shaq, Ewing, Smits, Dale Davis, whatever. Like the guy was everything for the team. He was a bit of a nut, but I think Phil knew how to get the most out of him, as did Mike and Scotty as leaders. I think it's really sad that Mike and Scotty are on such bad terms, but it just goes to show you that just because you have success together doesn't really mean that you're friends. And both of them make valid points, but I think Scottie Pippen was really wilding out after the last dance, and it really struck a nerve with him at the way it was presented. Perhaps they should have gone to more than Michael Jordan for the executive producer role, maybe getting a few more voices from the Bulls to make it a little more balanced. Yeah, I did not know that. No, I did not. I was not aware of that. But yeah, Dennis Rodman, man, just a phenomenal talent, and a huge part of 5 championship teams. The Pistons, late 80s, early 90s, and of course the Chicago Bulls. Until next time, I am Richie, NAFO Mythic Plague. Thank you for joining. I really like talking sports with you, bro. I appreciate you. Uh, Announcements to come for my next show. Be back soon. Enjoy the rest of your day.